France's Macron won't name leftist prime minister, prolonging political crisis. Donald Trump threatens to pull out of the 10th of September presidential debate, as Harris wants Trump's MIC to stay unmuted during entire. France's Macron won't name leftist prime minister, prolonging political crisis. Donald Trump threatens to pull out of the 10th of September presidential debate, as Harris wants Trump's MIC to stay unmuted during entire upcoming debate. Harris versus Trump election debate in the balance over muted microphones. Russian army good in winter fighting, claims Trump.
Trump says we gotta restrict the First Amendment, and Donald Trump warns of World War III during speech in Detroit. Georgia governor inquires whether he can remove MAGA election board members after series of alarming votes. 1M plus ineligible voters removed from Texas rolls since 2021, Governor Abbott says.
Are raking in millions of dollars from Republican political campaigns, including his own. Missouri Attorney General's legal war against media matters shot down by federal judge. Federal judge rules Missouri's Second Amendment Preservation Act unconstitutional.
Maduro says, no one messed with Brazil when Bolsonaro contested the election. China's Communist Party brings in new rules to regulate faith, loyalty and performance. Church of England dropping word church to be more modern.
China ally Solomon Islands irked over conditions in Australia brokered Pacific police deal. Indonesia and Australia to hold complex defense drills as security ties deepen. Afghanistan is grateful to Russia for support, announced Taliban's chief logistics officer.
China's ambassador to U.S. says, no reason why China and U.S. relations should be zero-sum game. China's she meets U.S. National Security Advisor as the two powers work to avoid conflict. TASS reports as, China, U.S. failed to make progress in discussing Ukraine crisis, says U.S. Security Advisor. Kamala Harris pitches continuity in China-lite first interview since nomination.
France's Macron says giving Telegram CEO Durov French citizenship, the man with 4 passports, was a good thing, and arrested Telegram CEO Pavel Durov met with Macron several times before obtaining French nationality. Telegram CEO Durov indicted in France, banned from leaving country, as France charges Telegram CEO Pavel Durov, releases him on €5 million bail. Macron asked Pavel Durov to move Telegram headquarters to Paris in 2018, Wall Street Journal reports.
Borrell asks EU to consider sanctions on 2 Israeli ministers. As EU foreign policy chief tables sanctions on hardline Israeli ministers for hate crimes, and EU's Borrell fails in attempt to impose sanctions on Ben-Gvir, Smotrich. Canadians split on taking in more Gazan refugees, concern about screening, as per poll.
Putin to visit ICC signatory Mongolia despite arrest warrant. EU to move forward with Russian asset plan regardless of US. US threatens sanctions against countries hosting Russian banks.
Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway hits $1 trillion market value, first US company outside of tech to do so. NVIDIA announces financial results for second quarter fiscal 2024, up 88% from Q1, up 101% from year ago. Wealthy are purchasing doomsday luxury bomb shelters amid social unrest, says founder.
Deputy Pentagon Press Secretary Sabrina Singh unable to confirm that Ukraine's F-16 was downed by friendly fire. Ukraine admits loss of F-16, which it says crashed while repelling Russian attack this week. Kiev announces plans to transport Azerbaijani gas to Europe instead of Russian, by Podolyak. Russian central bank says new rate hike in September is not a certainty.
Lego to replace oil in its bricks with pricier renewable plastic. Shimano patents wireless, electric cycling shoes that adjust automatically. Physicists accidentally found a new way to represent pi. Israeli companies banned from winning Irish defense contracts, announced Taoiseach, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ireland. In the U.S., Army signed $1 billion deal for massive order of Switchblade kamikaze drones.
Spain blocks Hungarian rail bid over possible Russia ties, and for telco takeover, Brussels raises no objection to Spanish veto of Hungarian bid. Circles of Hungarian national arrested in the U.S. likely received hundreds of thousands of euros from Hungarian state in Russia. Recently in the U.S., a Hungarian national arrested on charges of conspiring to export 200 U.S. military-grade radios into Russia. In Nord Stream case, saboteur is said to have fled in a diplomatic car.
In the UK, shops buying stolen goods from professional shoplifters, retail groups say. Dollar General stock price plunges 30% as company says customers don't have enough money to shop there. Lululemon, Hermes copies entice China's shoppers away from labels. Belarusian fighter jets shot down Shahid drone over their country. North Korea unveils clones of Israeli kamikaze drones. Pentagon withholds $5 million per F-35 jet as deliveries resume. New Zealand says Australian-owned banks run oligopoly. U.S. Latinos contributed $1.3 trillion to the GDP, about as much as Florida's economy, report finds. In Argentina, for pension moratorium, 70% of those who retired in 2022 did so without contributions. GM must face big class action over faulty transmissions. 5 months ago, GM 8-speed transmission lawsuit granted class action certification. Toyota global output falls for 6th straight month in July. Mazda 3 4th generation's class action lawsuit claims defects for thousands of vehicles.
Pentagon approves additional support to Secret Service for election campaigns. FBI accesses encrypted email accounts of Trump shooter. And FBI sees no definitive ideology for Trump shooter. The plot to attack Taylor Swift's Vienna shows was intended to kill thousands, a CIA official says. Former Russian Deputy Defense Minister Pavel Popov detained on fraud charges. Iran's supreme leader opens door to negotiations with U.S. over Tehran's nuclear program. UK's Starmer calls for European cooperation to tackle far-right. New Titanic expedition discovers treasure lost on ocean floor for over a century. In the UK, builders renovating National Gallery find funders' letter commending demolition. Hong Kong's Cathay Pacific cancels another 20 flights on A350 planes, bringing total to 68. 32,000 Boeing workers may hold strikes in September 2024. Hewlett-Packard to pursue Mike Lynch's estate for up to $4 billion.
Investors are already valuing OpenAI at over $100 billion on the secondaries market. Fashion Valet, early e-commerce pioneer and Malaysian startup poster child, sold in fire sale, as netizens fume at Khazanah's fire sale of Fashion Valet at $1.1 million, or 1/10 of its 2019 value. Warren Buffett cautioned that you should be ready for any stock you buy to plunge 50% or more. Li Ka-shing's luxury mall in Hong Kong sits empty, as Chinese spending plunges. Spain hits record number of international tourists and spending in July and for the year. New Zealand triples entry levy it charges foreign visitors.
Stellantis won't sell or kill any of its 14 car brands after all. Volkswagen could close plants in Germany for the first time in history. BYD sales hit a record in August despite broader China EV slowdown.
Harris says she opposes U.S. Steel's sale to a Japanese firm during campaign event. British government wants to nationalize railways. 1 month ago, King's speech promises laws to nationalize train operations and set up GBR. Microsoft confirms that Windows 11 Recall AI is not optional. A glitch made it appear so in the Windows 11 24H2KB 5041865 update.
London workers are in the office just half the week, study finds. Also, young Londoners spend more time in office than older workers, survey finds. Japan wants its hardworking citizens to try a 4-day work week. In Canada, international students allowed to work 24 hours a week. Novo to supply half of Danish growth in 2024, Dansk says, and Novo Nordisk sales increased by 24% in Danish kroner and by 25% at constant exchange rates to DKK 133.4 billion in the first 6 months of 2024. The U.S. economy grew 3% in the second quarter, faster than initially thought. Korea's inflation slows to 2% in August, lowest in over 3 years.
UN holds talks in Tripoli to resolve Libya's central bank crisis. Bank of Canada poised to cut rates again in widely anticipated move.
At least 100 people killed in central Burkina Faso in latest jihadi attack. Denmark shuts embassies in junta-led Mali and Burkina Faso, following military coups. Paris commemorates the 80th anniversary of liberation from German occupation. Palestinian Authority to attend BRICS summit, apply for membership, and Palestine asked Russia for support ahead of Abbas' visit to Gaza, ambassador said.
Israel is buying Google ads to discredit the UN's top Gaza aid agency. Yahya Sinwar reportedly hiding in plain sight dressed as a woman. Pakistani judge acquits a man over spreading misinformation that sparked riots in UK.
China's military to conduct armed patrols, live-fire exercises near Myanmar border, as Myanmar junta set to lose restive state to ethnic armed group. 3 months ago, powerful ethnic armed group in western Myanmar claims to capture base and hundreds of soldiers. Former Malaysian leader Muhyiddin charged with sedition for allegedly mocking former king. Japan scrambles fighters after Chinese military plane incursion.
Israel launches large-scale West Bank raid as minister calls for Gaza-style operation. 5 Palestinian gunmen, including top commander, killed by IDF at West Bank mosque. Top Hamas official Mashal urges resumption of suicide bombings against Israel.
Netherlands OK's use of its F-16s by Ukraine on Russian territory. We are not at war with Moscow. Italy bans Ukraine from using its weapons to strike Russia. A very big Russia problem, NATO commander warns of post-Ukraine war threat to US and Europe. Ukraine needs investments from partners for mass production of long-range missiles and drones, says Zelensky. Russia says Ukrainian drones target refinery, power plants near Moscow. Brussels urges Mongolia to comply with ICC request and arrest Putin during official visit.
AfD becomes first far-right party to win German state election since 1945, as German chancellor condemns first state election success for far-right party since World War II. Jacob Wall is running an AI lobbying company under pseudonym, Politico reports. 5 months ago, right-wing operatives Jacob Wall and Jack Berkman agreed to pay up to $1.2 million for misleading 2020 robocalls. 2020 election deniers ordered to pay $1 million in Pennsylvania voting machine dispute.
Hamas threatens to release video showing 6 slain hostages' last message. As Hamas admits to killing hostages, releases video of slain hostage Eden Yerushalmi. Hamas documents show tunnel battle strategy. Netanyahu seeks forgiveness for not saving Israeli hostages.
U.S. Central Command allegedly ran menacing ad campaign on Tinder in Lebanon. Do not take up arms against the U.S. and its partners. Poland has right to shoot down Russian missiles over Ukraine for national security, Polish foreign minister says.
UK to join CPTPP by December 15th. Following Peru's ratification of deal to join the bloc, the agreement will now officially enter into force by December 15th, 2024. Turkey bids to join BRICS and push to build alliances beyond West. Coal generates less than half of Australian power for first time.
Harris says, appointing a Republican to her cabinet would benefit Americans. Harris has 48% support to Trump's 47%, says Wall Street Journal poll. Vance urges Till to get off the sidelines and support Trump.
Marijuana user cannot be banned from gun ownership, U.S. court rules. Illegal migrants do not have gun rights protected by Second Amendment, as per Federal Appeals Court. In Germany, for reaction to Solingen event, federal government agrees on security and migration package, as Germany tightens weapons, deportation rules after fatal attack. In the U.S., Army says Arlington National Cemetery worker was pushed aside by Trump aides. Arlington worker in altercation with Trump staffers not pressing charges because she fears retaliation. Jack White says he's suing Trump campaign over 7 Nation Army video. ABBA demand Trump campaign stop using their music at rallies.
J.D. Vance booed by firefighter union audience. After Walz's appeal to same group, Kamala Harris could make history as the first president to work at McDonald's. Musk's X censors coverage of Trump's Arlington incident, citing potential spam. As X flags NPR story on Trump, Arlington as unsafe.
U.S. Congress House plans votes on Biosecure Act, other measures hitting China. Local governments in China to smash iron pots, sell the steel to stave off debt risk.
Trump asks federal court to intervene in hush money case in bid to toss conviction, delay sentencing. Trump campaign was warned not to take photos at Arlington before altercation, defense official says. Trump shares social media posts with QAnon phrases and calls for jailing lawmakers, special counsel.
Quarter of Republicans view Kamala Harris' campaign positively, as per a new poll. Trump says he had every right to interfere in the 2020 election.
Japan makes record $58 billion defense spending request amid Indo-Pacific tensions. South Korea's military intelligence faces overhaul after classified leaks to North. Dassault Aviation to sign Rafale Marine contract in India by end of 2024.
Putin says letting transgenders take part in women's events, destroying female sports. In the UK, protecting single-sex spaces is not a priority for most voters, says Robert Jenrick. The number of foreign prisoners in Spain has fallen by 35% in 15 years. Macron meets with former presidents, top politicians as search for PM narrows, and Socialist Party in disarray after Macron reveals possible socialist PM pick. South Korea president skips opening ceremony of parliament as strife with opposition deepens. Axios comments as, older workers aren't retiring, creating career gridlock for younger ones.
Israel braces for general strike after night of protests in support of a hostage deal. Biden and Netanyahu at odds again after U.S. president says Israeli PM not doing enough in ceasefire and hostage release talks. Bloomberg comments as, Netanyahu's conflicts of interest are hurting Israel. Netanyahu says, Israel must remain in Gaza to prevent Hamas rebuilding as Netanyahu says, if we leave Philadelphia, Hamas will be able to rearm, revive, repeat October 7th.
Venezuela judge issues arrest warrant for opposition candidate Gonzalez. U.S. drafts list of 60 Venezuelans for possible sanctions over election, sources say. U.S. seizes Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro's airplane in the Dominican Republic, flies it to South Florida.
Trump calls Harris a Marxist, a communist, even a fascist. In the UK, voters beginning to think conservatives are weird. Research suggests TikTok likely helped far-right in elections, claims researchers. Shiba Inu announces launch of decentralized autonomous organization. Stablecoins hit record market cap of nearly $170 billion after year of growth. India's CBDC has 5M users, can be phased in gradually. Central bank governor. In Singapore, second richest man in China jail for 6 years over $5 million crypto fraud. Abra reaches settlement with SEC over unregistered securities violations. SEC charges siblings over $60 million Ponzi, touting a crypto trading bot.
New Zealand mulls adoption of OECD crypto reporting standards. Russia initiates crypto trials for cross-border payments amid sanctions crisis. Ecuador central bank announced as, we do not have power to ban crypto.
Coinbase base layer 2 hits 1 million daily active addresses, as base names go parabolic. Hong Kong regulator finds unsatisfactory practices at some crypto entities seeking full license, report. Rhodium Bitcoin mining firm declares bankruptcy in Texas court.
South Korean crypto firm Haru Invest CEO stabbed during fraud trial, police say. Kylian Mbappe's X-account hack fuels $1 million crypto scam. Backpage.com founder Michael Lacey sentenced to 5 years in prison, fined $3 million for money laundering.
U.S. House Committee plans for heap of crypto hearings in September. Crypto hacks surged to over $1.2 billion in 2024, Immunify reports. Crypto ATMs surged 17 times in Australia, amid concerns over use by bad actors. Crypto.com taps Standard Chartered to offer fiat services to users globally. El Salvador's Bukele says Bitcoin strategy a net positive, but adoption lags. Binance CEO Tung rejects allegations the exchange froze all Palestinians' funds.
Musk beats suit over promoting Dogecoin pyramid scheme. Former FTX executive Ryan Salami drops bid to vacate conviction. Shiba Inu, SHIB, can now be used as collateral on Kraken exchange.
Bitcoin leads $305 million digital asset outflows. CoinShares blames U.S. economic data. SEC might challenge FTX bankruptcy estate from paying back customers with stablecoins. OKX Singapore gets major payment institution license and taps former Grab executive as CEO. Crypto losses from hacks surpassed $313 million in August. WazirX hacker starts to move stolen Ether using Tornado Cash. Bitcoin BTC millionaires increased by 110% in 1 year amid market surge.
Canadian court orders man to repay $1.2 million in Bitcoin loan dispute. Binance executive in Nigeria detained for suspected $35 million money laundering. Crypto whales offload $326 million in Cardano, ADA, after Chong hard fork.
Qatar unveils 2024 Digital Assets Framework. Fake Ukrainian cops extort $250,000 in tether from online entrepreneur. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro proposes retaking the crypto path.
Most frugal woman in Japan spends $1.40 a day on food, saves enough to buy 3 houses by 34. Australia's Qantas blames coding error for 85% discount on first-class flights. Bald eagle feared injured turns out to be healthy, just too fat to fly, after big meal.
Russians hit Kyiv hydroelectric power plant, damage reported, and 7 killed in most massive Russian air attack, Ukraine says. Russia's deadly overnight barrage of missiles and drones hits over half of Ukraine, officials say. Russia says it disrupted Ukraine's power network and arms supplies with massive strike. Tusk government promises to shorten working hours. Australians now have the right to ignore work calls and emails during free time. LA to pay more than $38 million for failing to make affordable housing accessible.
North Korea's Kim calls for country's development of more suicide drones. In the U.S., Hungarian national arrested on charges of conspiring to export U.S. military-grade radios to Russian government end users.
Hungary reportedly starts evicting some Ukrainian refugees from shelters based on new law, an EU executive to contact Budapest over eviction of Ukrainian refugees. Security services say Norway energy industry faces Russia threats. China and Saudi Arabia cease isocyanate exports to Russia.
Ukrainian drone attack damages high-rise in Russia's Sardov region, injures residents. Putin seizes $100 million from Google to fund Russia's war machine. Ukraine seeks UK green light to strike Moscow and St. Petersburg targets with Storm Shadow missiles. In the most massive and expensive airstrike, Russia spent $1.20 to $1.3 billion on the missile attack on Ukraine on August 26, as Forbes estimates. Poland says drone likely entered its airspace during Russian attack on Ukraine. Wagner Group claims to no longer be fighting in Ukraine. In Russia's largest attack, Ukraine's defense forces destroy over 200 out of 236 Russian missiles and drones.
Dutch watchdog finds Uber $324 million for unsafe transfer of driver data to U.S. In New Zealand, court rules Uber drivers are employees, not contractors. When Boeing Starliner comes back empty, it'll destroy the malfunctioning thrusters, making it impossible to study what went wrong. J.D. Power study finds growing frustration with advanced tech. Xpeng aims to assemble EVs in Europe to blunt impact of import tariffs, CEO says. United States Department of Transportation releases seminal plan for nationwide V2X, vehicle-to-everything deployment. These technologies allow vehicles to communicate real-time information directly with other vehicles, infrastructure, and vulnerable road users to improve transportation outcomes across the board.
To make fake porn of children he knew, federal authorities say. Malaysia plan to license social media platforms sparks pushback as tech giants urge Malaysia to pause plan for social media platform licenses. 1 month ago it had been announced as Malaysia to ask social media platforms with over 8 million users to get licenses.
Fed cuts may send $1 trillion FX avalanche to China, Jen says. Chinese stock exchanges to stop releasing data on overseas fund flows. SEC's case against Kraken will proceed to trial, California judge rules. Korean authorities eye budget bump with funds for chips, K-pop. Inflation in Germany fell below 2% for the first time in August, according to Deutsche Bank, as Germany confirms economy shrank in second quarter. UK shop prices fall for first time in almost 3 years.
Quick commerce unicorn Zepto raises $340 million in follow-on round. Valuation jumps to $5 billion. Decision in Apple tax case to be issued on September 10th by top EU court. Affirm shares of best day in 3 years surged 32% after earnings beat.
China says EU brandy being dumped on local market, but won't impose duties, for now. US and European airlines pay more, lose out to Chinese carriers amid Russian airspace closure. Galactic Energy launches 6 satellites, in third sea launch. Russian and Senegalese FM discuss development, security in bilateral meeting. Serbia makes a $3 billion deal to buy 12 French warplanes, in a shift away